Awesome. Welcome back to Build Your Market Center Brokerage with Alexis Halikas. Today I have a very special guest near and dear to my heart, colleague, very close friend of mine, Stacies States. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi. I am so excited to chat with you, though we chat all the time. Today's going to be a little different. We're going to dive in, and I love it.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you. All right, because you're not going to brag about yourself. I am. Stacies States is a 9-figure entrepreneur and an expert in the real estate industry with a career spanning almost 2 decades. That she has left an indelible, love the word, mark in her field. As a visionary leader, Stacie has spent thousands of hours leading masterminds for 8-figure offices and top 1% of agents and leaders worldwide, sharing her invaluable insights and strategies. With a remarkable track record of success, Stacie continues to set unprecedented standards of excellence, including winning the Keller Williams National Bet on Red competitions twice and earning the Team Leader Hall of Fame award. She is one of 53 people to receive that award in 40 years. Stacie has worked with New York Times bestselling authors, distinguished speakers, and multi-7-figure entrepreneurs. She has served as an assistant team leader, operating principal, team leader, regional director, regional operating partner, and a MAPS leadership coach. Stacie is deeply dedicated to helping others win in every area of their lives, and she tells it like it is, and is in doing so helps people take radical ownership of their life and work. Stacie, welcome.
Thank you so much.
I have to ask, did you write that on your own? Because that is very eloquently written.
I had a coach help me write a little bit of that. They're very good at what they do.
Yeah, I love that. Well, it definitely encompassed the big part of who you are in business. I obviously know you on a personal level, and like I said, I'm just so honored and excited to have you. So tell me, because people that are listening are typically OPs, team leaders, whether they're with Keller Williams, they're owning their own brokers, they're independents, whatever it might be. Tell me one major success that you've had as either the team leader or owning your own brokerage, and what you do to attribute to that success.
Yeah, I think nothing specific is coming to mind for me. I would just say anytime people say, like, how did you go from being a rookie agent? Like, I came out of fighting fires for the Bureau of Land Management. I'd graduated from college. I was deciding like what my career was going to be. I got into real estate, and then I grew up to be Rookie of the Year. And then I, had a flourishing business. And then I became an assistant team leader, and then a team leader, and then an owner of the brokerage. And when people ask me, like, how did I have that success? I would say a couple things. Number one is I really am good about doing what people tell me to do. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of times people own a brokerage or they're running a brokerage or whatever because they want to be entrepreneurial. You have to be almost intrapreneurial when you're running a brokerage. You have to be like, what are the leading indicators that I need to do? What are the successful people that have come before me? Even in real estate, when you're coaching realtors, is like, what are the proven successful models that have come before you? I'm really good about being like, I just want the shortest distance between where I'm at and the success that I want. So I'm like, who's done it? Who can tell me how to do it? Who can tell me how to get there the fastest? And then I just do it. So I don't spend a lot of time fighting. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do what people tell me to do. I want to find my own way. I don't spend a lot of time fighting against what is proven. And then I just like to follow that path. And then secondarily is hiring great people. If you think you're going to get somewhere at a really high level, that you're going to do that on your own, like, you're absolutely insane. I had the honor and privilege of hiring Alexis, and what we did together was a lot bigger than what either of us would have done apart. Even people I'd hired previously to Alexis, who I've hired after Alexis has left our brokerage and started her coaching business. Like, I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for the people that I got into business with. So I would say, like, stop fighting what you know needs to be done. And secondarily, like, make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the best people.
Yeah, I love that. That's so, so huge. And yeah, for some of you listening right now, you may not know, Stacie and I were co-team leaders in the KW Boise Market Center. For how long was it? 4 years?
You were there 4, I think.
I think so. Yeah. Even though it seems like a lifetime ago, it's like just not that long ago, which is just so crazy. So much has transpired.
We did get to split that Bet on Red money that we won together. So $100,000 prize. Pretty fun.
And for those of you who are newer to KW and don't know what is the Bet on Red, Stacie and I worked together to recruit 27 R2s, or for those outside of the KW world, producing agents to the brokerage in 4 months. And I just heard a fascinating, I mean, to put this in retrospect, I just heard a fascinating statistic. And I think you know this, but for maybe some that are listening don't. The average team leader recruits 4 producing agents in a given year. So we brought in not only once, but twice, because there were 2 bet on road competitions, 27 R2s or producing agents in 4 months. So you might want to like turn up the volume on this episode a little bit. She knows what she's doing.
Well, again, I think it goes back to you also operate similarly to me, where you're like, what is the best, fastest way that I can do this? And then just tell me how to do it and I'll do it. You didn't spend a lot of time fighting, like, well, I don't want to say that during the recruiting appointment. I don't want to say that when they get here. I don't want to do that. There wasn't a lot of resistance into what needs to be done, what needs to be said. Like when people choose to work with Alexis, she's come from that background of like, here's the systems, here's the tools, here's the models, here's everything that you need to create success. And if you would stop resisting what needs to be done, you would get to your goals a lot faster and you'd be able to up your productivity.
Yeah. Love that. Yep. We're very much built the same way. Like modeling. Yes. Who's done it? We'll do it just the same way.
Yeah. And then we'll improve upon it.
Totally. I love that. So what is one thing that you consistently do that has gotten you to this point in your journey?
Yeah, again, I would say I'm probably just more systematic and more organized than a lot of people who are in a leadership role. Again, those people tend to be entrepreneurial, charismatic. Yeah, you have to be likable and you have to be organized. So I would say if you're not getting the result that you want, or even if you are getting the result that you want, you should be looking at your calendar. That's usually like, that's the first place I started. Anytime I've ever been working with someone and they're like, I'm like, I don't know why that hour-long meeting, it should be a half an hour. I don't know why that half an hour meeting should be 15 minutes. Like, what can you optimize in your calendar and where are you wasting time on things that aren't productive for you? So it's definitely, I heard Layla Hermosi say this recently in a podcast. She was like, I'm a millionaire and I'm hanging around all these billionaires. And what's the one thing I looked at? Their calendar. Not one single billionaire had an hour meeting on their calendar.
Interesting.
Never, not one meeting. So it's like, can you get your brain to start thinking, can this recruiting appointment, does it need to be drive across town, have an hour and a half coffee, drive a half an hour back to the office, and next thing you know, that's like a 3-hour thing on your calendar, when you could invite someone into your office to meet with you and it could be a 45-minute meeting, and then you're meeting with 2 people, you're meeting with 3 people during that time period.
Yeah, you were always really good at that with me, and making sure that I ultimately recognize that, right? And yeah, calendaring is everything, right? I think one thing I've also always learned from you too is 15 minutes. When it comes to calendaring, that I think people would need to know is 15 minutes between each appointment. 15 minutes between each appointment. Don't do back to back. Book travel time. And people that have the least amount of white space on their calendar are the ones that are typically the ones that are making the most money and working less. I've noticed some people who aren't really big on calendaring, it might seem overwhelming when somebody looks at maybe your calendar or my calendar, but listen, I work 30 hours a week and I'm very happy with the amount of money that I bring in, right? So it's all about time blocking efficiency.
Yep.
All right. So another question I would have that I'm sure people are dying to know given your success is, what is a piece of advice that you've received in this role, in this industry, that you cannot live without?
Gosh, for the sake of being a little redundant, I would just have to say, like, you don't have to figure out everything on your own. Really look for the people that have succeeded in the industry, have done a great job, and do what they've done. Like, just repeat what the best part of it. I think you can make it your own still. You can say, like, I'm going to tweak this a little bit and make it more Stacie, but I do think, like, again, at the chance of being redundant, it's like find great models and systems and coaches and mentors, and then just do what they've done.
So it's early on in your team leader career, let's say, and you are wanting to model after somebody who you know have done this really well. Maybe not even a team leader. Maybe it's an author. Maybe it's another broker owner. Maybe it's outside of Keller Williams. Who knows, right? Who was that person that you modeled if you had to let everybody know?
I don't think it was anyone specific. I got myself in rooms that were of people who were succeeding. So it was a combination of, watching people and watching them succeed, and then being in that mastermind and getting that information, but also specifically for Keller Williams, there's just a formula. Like it's not even Keller Williams. If you're a recruiter, like, it's just a pretty simple formula. Like, you need to meet with probably about 40 people a month to recruit about 10 people a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to call enough people to get those 40 appointments. It's not that complicated. I think people tend to complicate things. They tend to get themselves involved in things that aren't going to matter to them. They tend to stay in busyness instead of in business. And to avoid anything that they can do to do the money making activities, which is getting on the phone or emailing or texting or whatever it is that you're going to do. Just like you would tell an agent, like, what are going to be your 3 ways to get business? Same thing in building a brokerage. You got to go find those ways that you're going to do consistently that are going to be effective, and then you got to do them.
Yeah, I completely agree. We obviously have very much the same philosophy in that. And, I work with a lot of team leaders who are like, just give me anything outside of picking up the phone, right? And maybe it's not in lieu of, but in addition to.
Mm-hmm.
And for those team leaders, I say, just whatever you're going to do it purposefully.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, like if you're going to go to a broker open, if you're going to go to an open house, if you're going to go to an event, get appointments from it. People, unfortunately, we think people remember us more than they really do, right?
Yep.
We are the center of our own universe typically as human beings. And going and creating, quote unquote, these relationships, if a lot of agents who are quite frankly meeting people all day, I hate to say it, you guys, we're not that memorable. So being purposeful about what you're going to do, if you're going to do things in addition to what we already know works, which is, of course, picking up the phone, make sure you're being purposeful, right? Make sure you're following up afterwards, time block following up, to book the appointment if you didn't get a chance to in that broker open because you had a flood of the next group of people coming through, right?
Yeah, I would just say definitely you've got to decide what your intention is. Like, are you just going there to be seen, or like, why would you waste your time going if it wasn't going to convert into business?
Yeah. And maybe for those that are a little bit more extroverted than Stacie, maybe you do want to do that.
Maybe that's fun.
Maybe that is fun to you. And you've been doing this a long time. So, of course, I'm sure you were doing a lot more of that 15 years ago, right? It's just all relative.
Yeah. And I think, the obvious thing that has to happen is you actually have to help people inside of your brokerage in order to be able to recruit well. If you're not helping the agents inside of your brokerage grow, why would anyone want to join you? So, I mean, like, you've got to make sure that you're nailing that and the opportunity that people have inside of your office in order for you to be able to earn the right to grow it.
Yeah, I love that. And don't be the best kept secret. I hate to tell you what not to do. And yet, Stacie, you were really good at telling that story, and you made it a system, right? So I remember every month we would share a screenshot of essentially their production, and it's up, and we would highlight it, and we would say, congratulations, said agent, your business is up 150%. You posted in the closed Facebook group, you posted on the outward Facebook group. And maybe you're out there helping, you're listening to this and you're saying, well, gosh, I am helping so many of my agents. Why am I not attracting more people? Well, ask yourself, is your helping of your agents a secret, right?
Well, and always be highlighting them, right? They need to be the hero of the story.
Yeah.
It is them out there doing the work, even if you're helping them put it in place. They're the ones implementing. They're the hero in the story, and the more people you can help, hopefully the more people they'll tell.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Be the hero. They are the hero of the story. Love that. Okay, people are dying to know. You've had a lot of success. It doesn't come without challenges. What is the biggest challenge you've had in this role? Broker ownership, team leader, growing a brokerage, coaching agents, and how have you overcome it?
I think the biggest challenge is there is a lot of things to do when you're running a company. And so you can burn out. You can feel like you're all over the place. You can feel like you're doing a lot of things. I think it's always going back and saying, like, it's a never ending process. You have to go back and reevaluate, like, what am I doing? Is it getting a result? So I got taught from my coach early on that each year, or you could do it a couple times a year, is like, what's the result that you want? And then what are the things that I should start doing, stop doing, keep doing? And so you have to really evaluate all of your time consistently. Like, is this getting me the result that I want? Is it worth me spending my time on that? Is it worth me having that activity on my schedule? Because you do have a chance of burnout when you are trying to do too much. And then the other thing is really, like, I was very clear early on that if I grew it enough and I earned the right to hire other talented people like you, like, there is light at the end of the tunnel. If you just stay focused, you grind, you do a great job, then you get the opportunity to hire people that can help you take those things off of your plate. It works both ways too. You didn't have a lot of extra things on your plate because I wanted to allow you to stay focused. So that way you get the payoff, I get the payoff, everybody wins. So you got to just grind it out until you earn that opportunity, earn the right to add additional people. So then those things can come off of your calendar.
Yeah, and I think what you just said there, just to reiterate, is when we worked closely together, right, in running the market center, I get asked that a lot by a lot of OPs and a lot of team leaders, like, how did you split up the role? And though there was crossover, we both had our expertise dialed in and what we were focused on and what we were held accountable to. Mm-hmm. And in our world, based on the agent count at the time, I always tell people, Stacie had built a legacy there and a reputation, and she was already coaching the agents and running the ALC and doing that. Was I not coaching any agents? No, of course not. Was I not a part of the ALC? Of course not. But what my focus was and your focus on was very clear. And was there a lot of crossover? Again, yes. And I think we both were able to protect each other's time. And I think that's so critical. I think what I see frequently is, let me bring on a lot of people at a little dollar amount or a little investment to do a lot of different things. And as we know from one of my favorites, like the one thing that's right behind me, right, is like, you can't juggle a lot of things really well.
Yeah.
And when we were able to do that, that's like probably one of the number one questions I get is, how? Like, how on earth were you recruiting so many people? And it's like, well, I had a partner who took a lot of the other stuff off my plate. And if I couldn't close them, guess what? They were being courted and they were meeting with her either way. But it doesn't matter. It was like we both really were able to protect each other's time. And I think that's super critical. And especially when you earn the right to do that. You earned the right, and there you go.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, you might have participated in some of the things, but you weren't having to run it. Like, you might come into the ALC and help run the growth committee.
Yep.
So you're helping with your specific piece of the pie. But, and there were specific classes that Alexis taught each month, but it was very dialed, like very clear. I think a lot of people that I see running offices together are like you said, like, everybody's doing a lot of stuff.
Yep. And doing it well, right, is like probably typically the biggest opportunity, or who's doing what. And then it leads to less burnout because each individual is super clear on what they're doing. They have their expectations. And they typically are good at it because that is their one thing they've been hired for in terms of focus. So, yeah. and that's for any executive listening, if right outside of the
people want clarity. They really do. They want to know how they're going to win.
Yep. So what is the biggest system driver that you can attribute to your recruiting and growth results?
Mm-hmm. I think being really clear about who your ideal client is, who do you want to be in business with, and then figuring out how you're going to talk to that person, what you're going to invite them to. So, I mean, really having a system put together of who you're trying to attract, who you're going to call, and then being consistent about that, and then what you're going to invite them to. Our company specifically is very experiential. So we focused heavy on, we still do, getting people to attend things that can help change their life. And then hopefully they're open up to the opportunity of us partnering with them in the future. Also, we had a pretty consistent drip system, which now we're in partnership with Alexis and her company on, because again, like if you're trying to do everything, it's very difficult. And so if you can find a system, a tool, a partner that can help systematize things and create consistency around that, like Nurture Pro does, it's a win-win for us, because then our team is, again, instead of spending all their time trying to write an email or trying to put a marketing piece in place, if you can find a system that can help you do that so they can do what they're best at, which is meeting with people and having conversations. So we've had different versions of that, but you need, as a market center leader, you have to have some version of that so that you have consistency. Just like an agent, you don't want your business to go up and down.
Yeah. What would you say to an OP right now that's listening potentially, right? And or a brokerage owner of any sort, and says, that's the team leader's job. We can't afford something like that, a partnership, even if it is, less than a cap a year or whatever it might be. The investment might be very affordable or whatever it might be. That's the team leader's job. I need them to build all of those systems, all of those job boards, and optimize them, and the smart plans and the marketing and the social media. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think then you just have to dial in your results based on those expectations. Like if somebody has 40 hours in a week and they need to allot 20 hours to make all of that happen, then they only have 20 hours to do the rest of the stuff. Then how much time is there for recruiting? I think everybody needs to get realistic about their expectations. Like, I just try to stay in reality with like what people can do. There used to be 2 of us that now takes 3 people to do. Right. And so it's like, you have to be realistic around those expectations. And then if you're going to take them away from just their money making activity, then you're going to have to dial back the result that you want a little bit. Also, I would say, like, if I was coaching a team, I would say typically your first hire as an executive assistant, it's not going to have the same brain as somebody who's a transaction coordinator. Like if one is growth minded and one is maintaining the business minded, they're 2 different people, right? So lots of times when you hire a team leader, I'm not really even sure like what their skill set is. Like I don't have any marketing experience. I'm really good at relationships with people. I'm really good at wooing people. I'm really good at helping them move their business forward, but I'm not really good at the other stuff. So I don't know why you would want me to do that.
Yeah, that's what I have found too, just from my experience as well. It's like there's no prerequisite for most team leaders that marketing experience is on the docket.
Uh-huh.
So it's one of those things that even if they can make the time, as Stacie suggested, in their 40-hour work week, and you want them to spend the 20 hours it takes to do all of these automating and streamlining and systematizing, are they qualified? Even if they do make the time, are they going to even be able to do it? I think that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. And even with, honestly, like it's shocking how good ChatGPT is, right? Like that is a great place to start, but ultimately you still have to string it together for a result, which can be a little bit more difficult. But I would just say, like, what could you do that would, for a lower cost, help your team leader and the rest of your team get some systems and consistency in place is probably going to be the best decision they could make.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, last but not least, what is a piece of advice that you'd give to other team leaders and OPs? Just if you had to leave one last piece of advice. You've had a lot of success, especially as a market center leader, OP.
Gosh, we've talked about so many little nuggets. Is there anything additional that I would say? I think you really just need to focus on the service of others. Like, I just know that my most important calling is to help change people's lives. And I do believe that if you join our brokerage, you're going to be a better mother, a better father, better brother, a better sister. Like you're going to become a better version of yourself. Mm-hmm. If I stay focused on that being the mission of this company, like results do come. We recruit talented people that work at this brokerage. We recruit talented agents that work at this brokerage because we're really committed to that. If somebody's in the role because they want, look at me, I want star power, I want to be recognized, I do love winning. However, like I never like once it's done and we're like moved on, like I've never talked about it again. I like a competition of things, but ultimately the goal being that you're helping change people's lives. So if you're waking up and not having that at the forefront of what you're doing, you're probably never going to get the result. Even if you called 100 people, even if you called 200 people a week, if you're not actually really wanting to change people's lives and really make an impact in their life, it's just inauthentic.
Yeah.
You really have to want to do it.
Could not agree more. That's servant leadership. I could not agree more.
Yeah.
I probably should have led with this, but guess what? We're all humans. So, oh well. Stacie, you're running you've grown Boise to a very large brokerage. For those that are listening and still with us, I mean, how many agents do you guys have today?
We have right around 600 people.
Yeah, that's a huge brokerage for those that are listening. I mean, that's within all of Keller Williams. I would assume, because we were previously, we had been, what was it? You got to what point in agent count?
We got, when the market was like cruising in 2021, just like everybody else, we had a flood of people coming in. We got to about 800.
About 800. So collectively, we grew the brokerage to 800. They have 600 now, you said, in place, which is incredible to only, right, lose 200 people over the course of several years.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, with everything that's happened in our industry, nonetheless, right? And in an election year and all these different things, right? That's huge. And I would guess that's still in Keller Williams over 850 plus offices. I would say in terms of size, top 10.
I haven't looked, I would say in the top 10 or 20 as far as size out of 800 plus offices for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. So for those that are listening, Keller Williams, outside brokerages, etc., and you're interested in growing your brokerage, this is the call for you. We're talking big systems, big strategies, and just big lives, big vision, right? So I appreciate you. If people want more of you, Stacie, where can they find you?
You know, honestly, I try to be a little incognito. I mean, if you wanted something specific, you could reach out to Alexis and she could set you and me up. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram pretty sporadically, I guess, but you know, Alexis and I operate a lot the same way. So if you're wanting specific instruction on anything that I've done or learned, you can definitely reach out to Alexis. And if it's something that you need specifically from me, you can put us in touch.
Perfect. I love that. I will do that. And if you're wanting to follow her on social media, it's Stacies States, I believe. Just Stacies States, IE. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much for showing up today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're always looking for agents that want to grow themselves, want to grow their business, want to grow their lives. So if you know an agent in the Boise area that you think should be aligned with our brokerage that wants to help people, because I'm sure someone in Florida is listening to this and they have a cousin who's licensed here, right? Like, we'd always love the opportunity to meet with them. And Keller Williams has an amazing profit share model that helps people, you know, gain an opportunity from that. So we're always wanting to have those conversations.
I love it. Thank you, Stacie. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.